Hey, nightmares! Tonight we descend into a place no map admits, no tour guide dares mention. A creaking corridor of sand, silence, and secrets whose walls remember your voice even when you forget it yourself. You're alone now, surrounded by dunes that shift as if disturbed from beneath, though no wind dares blow. The sun is sinking, but the shadows beneath your skin are already deeper. You're here for history, or so you tell yourself. Yet what you'll uncover has no place in time. You reach the dig site just as the last team member leaves, his eyes hollow, his voice barely above a whisper. Don't stay after sunset. You smile politely. You stay. And now something watches you from beneath the earth. You won't escape this untouched. Your sanity might not survive this. So, before the shadows deepen and the whispers begin, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely dare to journey into the unknown with me. Tell me your city and time in the comments. I want to know just how far the dread travels tonight. Now, extinguish every light, perhaps pull your blanket tighter, and let's descend into tonight's chilling journey together. You kneel beside the half-uncovered slab. Unlike the others in this necropolis, it bears no cartouche, no mention of a pharaoh, no plea to Ra or Osiris. Instead, etched shallowly in a trembling hand is a single, jagged eye, open wide, lidless, watching. You brush away dust. The eye stares back. And in that moment, you feel it. Not metaphorical presence, not paranoia. An actual weight in the air, a pressure. Someone is observing you, but not from a ridge or shadow, from beneath the sand. Your flashlight flickers, once, twice, then dies. The wind doesn't howl, it inhales. Somewhere beneath your boots, something shifts. You do not move, you barely breathe. You pretend it's just your imagination, as you've done since the camel ride. When the guide made that joke, was it a joke? About the tombs sealed with tongues. 99 to be exact, taken not post-mortem but while the victims still screamed. He'd laughed nervously. To quiet the demon, he said. You hadn't asked for details. Now you wish you had. Because the sand at your knees begins to ripple and your palms grow damp even though the night is dry. You've opened countless graves, cataloged them, photographed them. This one feels awake. You lean closer to the stone, instinct overriding caution. As a blink, and now the eye is gone. You didn't imagine it, you know it was there. But the surface is smooth again, almost too smooth, like skin after a scab is peeled away. You rise, scanning for others. Your radio buzzes softly in your pocket, then lets out a whisper. Not static syllables, something trying to speak. You hold your breath. Merit sen ak. Then silence. Even the night creatures have stopped their chorus. There is no owl call, no beetle click, nothing but your heartbeat and the faint, unmistakable scrape from below. Still, you kneel again. The slab beckons, not with curiosity now, but with compulsion. You fetch your tools, hammer, chisel, gloves. The first tap rings hollow, more so than it should. Beneath this stone is not dirt, it is space. Another tap. The slab shudders, not from your strike, but from within. You freeze. Suddenly, the sand shifts behind you. You whip around. And nothing. But not quite. Your own footprints stretch out behind you, and then, suddenly, beside them, another set, bare, small, toes spread wide like someone walking in agony. You rise to flee. But your knees no longer respond. You fall forward. Hands to earth. A chisel between your fingers. You dig. You do not know why. Only that it must be opened. And then metal finds air. The slab tips. It falls inward, revealing nothing but a black so thick your flashlight cannot pierce it. You whisper into the void. Hello. No echo. Only breath, hot, foul, moist. Rising. You step back, gagging. But you cannot leave. Not when you hear it. A single, wet, dragging lick. And the eye reappears, only now it's not carved, it's real, and it blinks. Historical records rarely mention tombs without names, but there are whispers among Egyptologists of Mot al-Lisan, death of the tongue, a punishment for betrayers of divine speech. Tongues cut not to kill, but to silence the god's secrets. You thought it a myth, but the eye looks up at you now. And you understand, some things were never meant to be uttered. A breeze curls from the opening, carries with it a soft moan, not pained. Yearning, you hear your name, spoken by your own voice, only slower, stretched like hot wax. You FFF found, me. You stumble back and step on something soft. It squelches. You look down. A tongue. A pink, fresh. Still twitching. You scream, but no sound comes out. You try again. And nothing. Your voice is gone. Your tongue, you realize, is still there, but it won't move. You fall. It crawl. The eye watches you all the way back to the tent. And inside the tent, a mirror. But your reflection does not mimic your panic. It smiles. And mouths. Only 98 left. You haven't slept. Not really. The hours since the tomb yawned open have twisted into a murky haze of clenched teeth, dry heaving, and shallow breathing. The air in the tent is too still, too watchful. Your voice has not returned, not even a whisper, and though your tongue still lies dormant in your mouth, you swear it occasionally twitches. On its own, like it remembers a language older than you. You told yourself you would flee at first light. But dawn came and passed, and you didn't move. Because the tomb pulls. You tell yourself to pack your things. Tell yourself to walk to the truck, radio the team, fly home. But instead, you find yourself back at the slab. You don't remember walking here. You don't remember dressing. But you're here again. And the lid is gone. You did not remove it. Yet it lies beside the pit, partially buried like it's been there for centuries. The interior of the tomb stretches far deeper than the initial cavity suggested. Stairs descend into darkness, weathered stone steps barely wide enough for 1 foot at a time. You shine your flashlight. The beam flickers as if resisting. The shadows seem thicker than night. They don't scatter, they press forward. Still you descend. Each step echoes, but not like stone. It echoes wetly, like you're walking through someone's throat. At step 17, your flashlight reveals something carved into the wall. Rows of tongues, 99 in total, stacked vertically like tally marks, each rendered in exquisite biological detail. Veins, taste buds, some even bitten at the tip. Your hand instinctively rises to your mouth. Still there. But still, wrong. You descend further. And then whispers. It's not behind you. It's below. They rise up the stairwell like fog, brushing your ears, coiling around your thoughts. You lean in to listen, unable to help yourself. They speak in your voice. Do you remember the sand in your lungs? He's not buried, he's fed. You were here before. You recoil, but your feet keep descending. You want to stop, but your body does. Ancient Egyptians believed in the power of names. A true name, spoken aloud, could grant control over spirits, gods, or even the dead. That's why so many tombs hide their occupant's name, protection through anonymity. But this tomb is different. Here, you are the one being named. Etched along the wall just ahead is your full name, first, middle, last. And beneath it, a symbol. It's not hieroglyphic. It's not modern. A sigil made of spirals and slashes that seems to tremble even when you don't look at it directly. A buzzing begins behind your eyes. Your skull aches, you vomit. The bile smells like rot and copper. The whispers grow louder. You reach the base of the stairs and step into a room that should not exist. A sarcophagus rests at the center, massive, obsidian black, covered in chains made of what looks like dried tendons. No lid, just an opening, a gaping, moist orifice rimmed with what appears to be flesh. You gag again. The smell is beyond death, its memory gone sour. Etched above the sarcophagus is a phrase in a crude, ancient dialect. To seal the scream, we fed it silence. You move closer. You don't want to. But you do. The whispers intensify. They're coming from inside the sarcophagus. And they know you. Each whisper speaks a different thought you've never told anyone. The fear that clings to your childhood. The thing you saw under the bed at age 6. The name you almost gave your stillborn child. And then, your name again. Not spoken. Exhaled. The breath that carries it bursts from the sarcophagus like a sigh. The chains tighten. The flesh quivers. You step back. And then you see them. Tongues. Dozens of them. Nailed to the walls. Pinned to the ceiling. Hanging like tapestries of twitching meat. Each one labeled. Not in ancient script. In English. In modern pen. Some are names you recognize, colleagues, professors, the guide who told you to leave before sunset. Others you don't. One is yours. But you're still alive. Right. One tongue suddenly screams, though it has no lungs. Just a raw, vibrating wail that makes the floor shudder. The chains rattle. And from deep within the sarcophagus, a shape begins to rise. It doesn't emerge so much as become visible, like it had always been there, and your mind is just now allowing you to perceive it. It is not a mummy. It is not a corpse. It is an absence of shape, a silhouette of missing space. And it watches you, not with eyes, but with silence. It breathes. And when it does, the tongues all around you shrink, shrivel as if sucked dry. It doesn't speak, it listens. And you feel your own throat tighten. Your tongue curls inward, terrified. And you understand. It is hungry. Not for food. For utterance. For the last things we say before death. For truths. And it has heard yours. A shadow moves behind you. You turn, but there's nothing there. Yet something licks the back of your neck. As slowly, as lovingly. You run. Or think you do. Your body doesn't respond the way you want. Your legs carry you back up the stairs. But as you ascend, you realize something is wrong. Each step feels reversed, like you're walking down. But the staircase climbs. You break into a run. The carvings blur past. The whispering fades. And then, you burst into the desert night. Only it's not night. It's not anymore. It's gray. No sun, no stars. Only endless dusk. Your tent is gone. The camp is gone. The desert is flat, featureless. And in the distance, you see it. The tomb. Still open. Still waiting. And the whispers begin again. Only this time, from inside your own head. One phrase repeats. You've been sealed in. You try to scream. Still no sound. The shape of your mouth forms the cry perfectly, jaw wide, breath forced, chest straining, but nothing emerges, not even a gasp. You try again. Still silence. Then beneath your feet, the sand shifts in rhythm. Not randomly, not wind-blown. It ripples, a steady, pulsing beat like a drum made from breath and bone. You stagger back, and for the first time you realize you're not alone in this wasteland. As shapes rise from the sand, slowly, deliberately. Not like the undead clawing out of ancient graves. No, this is worse. These figures ascend not with desperation, but with purpose. Their heads bow slightly, their spines contorted like they've forgotten how to stand. Their faces, those that still have them, are frozen in some strange midway between agony and rapture. But their mouths are wounds. Some still bear the flapping remnants of where tongues once lived. Others are sewn shut with something dark and fibrous. Hair, you think. Human hair, thick and coarse and knotted into gags. Some mouths are simply missing, as if erased. You step back. One follows. Then another, and another, until there are 99. 99 tongueless figures in a widening circle around you, feet bare, garments tattered, their skin tight and ashen as if they've been dried alive. You try to run, but your legs betray you. Instead, you kneel. You don't want to, but you do. Because something inside you, not you, but within you, insists it is right. And then one steps forward. Her feet barely disturb the sand. Her eyes have no whites, just obsidian black, endless, unreflective. She opens her mouth. Not to speak, to show you. She turns her face to the sky, and inside the yawning void where her tongue should be, you see something squirm. It is alive. It is not hers. And it is watching you. The others follow, mouths open, all displaying things that should not be alive, parasites of language, leeches of sound. Some pulsate like organs, some blink. The air thickens. And then you hear it, not with your ears, but with your bones. A chorus. Not of words, but of intent. They are speaking through you now. You fall forward, your palms slam into the ground, you smell rot again, familiar, like the sarcophagus breath, like your own fear distilled into scent. The lead figure kneels beside you, and you remember her. From a journal article, an unsolved disappearance. Professor Evelyn Dartmoor, linguistic anthropologist, vanished in 1987 during a private dig. She should be dead. And maybe she is. But her eyes are alive, and she recognizes you. Her hand rises to your throat. She doesn't touch you, but you feel her fingers inside your larynx, tinkering, like she's tuning a piano made of cartilage. Then her mouth moves, and inside your skull, a voice. Yours. But not spoken. We silenced the voice so the god could sleep. You shake your head. No gods, no curses. This is just heat stroke, delusion. Right. But she continues. The tongues were not to feed him, they were to bind him. Each tongue is a name, and names are power. You want to say something. Ask anything. But your voice is a ghost, and the silence is too loud. Suddenly, another steps forward. A man, lean and skeletal, his jaw broken and swinging like a door on a single hinge. He drops to his knees and crawls to you. In his hand, a piece of papyrus, torn and blood-stained. He offers it to you. You take it. It is not papyrus. It is tongue. Dried, inked. You turn it over. Your name. Again. This time written backward. And below it, 3 symbols you've never seen, each of them seemingly in motion even as you stare. The page writhes gently, as if breathing. You feel your pulse falter. A question begins to form in your mind. Who was the 100th? 99 tongues, 99 names, 99 seals. Who was meant to be the final? And then, like oil poured into water, the answer comes. Not spoken. Not even thought. Just known. It was always meant to be you. So now you are here. The tomb was not a prison. It was a mouth. And the sarcophagus. A throat. The god slumbers still. But the seal weakens. And each of these figures was once a scholar, a seeker, a voice. And now, just silence. And suddenly, your ears ring. A high-pitched hum. Like tinnitus, but shaped. It forms syllables in your marrow. And the figures begin to move. Together. One step forward. Then another. They form a circle tighter around you. The sand inside the ring begins to sink. You too. You scramble, but the sand grips your hands like wet cloth. They all kneel again. And one by one, they reach into their mouths and begin pulling. Not tongues. Not worms. Scrolls. Fleshy, fibrous scrolls, etched with names, coiled like serpents. They offer them to you. All of them. 99. You hear the voice again, your voice. Choose the 100th. And you realize. To seal the tomb again, a tongue must be taken. But not yours. Not this time. You must name someone. You must offer another. But you don't know if they must be willing, or if that ever mattered. And then a final whisper. Or open it forever. The sand reaches your chest. The scrolls wait in your hands. Your reflection in one figure's eye is trembling and smiling. You don't remember choosing. That's what haunts you most. One moment, the scrolls trembled in your hands, wet, pulsing with the weight of unspoken names, and the next, the sand stopped swallowing you. The figures withdrew, not retreating, receding, as though pulled backward by an unseen tide. You're alone now. But something is missing. You check your pockets, your hands, your mind. Nothing feels displaced. And yet you know something has been taken. The wind has changed. Not colder, not warmer, just watchful. It brushes your skin like a whisper you almost hear. You turn back toward the tomb, drawn again, as if your marrow is magnetized. And it has changed. No longer cracked stone or weathered symbols. Now its entrance is marked by hieroglyphs, fresh, precise, and glistening, not carved, written, still wet. You reach out. They're warm. You press a finger to one, and it shudders. It pulses, then bleeds. A single drop, dark red but somehow iridescent, slips down the wall and lands on your boot, where it sizzles and hisses. You stumble back, but not fast enough, because now the glyphs are changing. Before your eyes, they rearrange. A shift. A squirm. Until they form a shape you recognize from a dream you didn't know you had. Your own face, mouth open in silent scream, with a tongue coiling down your throat instead of out. It winks. You fall to your knees, shaking. You try to rationalize. To try to remind yourself of dehydration, of ancient ink, of pareidolia and symbolic hallucinations. But the glyphs don't care what you believe. They bleed for you. And now one of them, lower, half obscured by sand, begins to hum. Yes, hum. It resonates deep in your ribs. You dig it free. And realize it's not a glyph at all. It's a mouth. Human-sized. Embedded in stone like fossilized agony. Lips cracked, tongue chewed down to the root. And as you stare, its remaining tooth crumbles. You reach out, unable to stop yourself. The mouth opens and speaks. You wrote this. You stagger back. No, that's not. But even as you deny it, you feel the pulse in your fingertips twitch. You have been writing. You remember a journal, left open, back at your camp. Except there is no camp. It's not anymore. But your hands ache. Ink stained. Scraped raw. And suddenly, the wall glows. The glyphs rise, not visually, physically. As though the symbols are forming bodies, they stretch, elongate, crack open. Until what was once a wall is now a passage. Behind it, another chamber. Your flashlight flickers, then returns, dimmer than before. You step forward. Inside, the walls are covered in writing. Not stone. Flesh. Taut sheets of pale, veined skin stitched together like parchment. Hundreds of square panels. Each one inscribed with hieroglyphs that move when you blink. One reads, "To record is to awaken." Another, each name is a nerve. Another, "Stop reading." You do not. You cannot. Because each glyph you read plants itself in your mind like a seed. You feel them growing. Curling tendrils of thought wrapping around your memories, changing the way you recall. A glyph above you reads, "You left the seal open." Suddenly, the chamber trembles. The air gets heavier, denser, like molasses clinging to your lungs. A section of wall twitches. And tears. Something claws its way out. It is not a creature. It is a sentence. A living phrase. Letters moving like insects, swarming together into the shape of a man. He approaches. He has no eyes. And no ears. Just a slit where his mouth should be. From that slit, words tumble, not spoken, fallen like teeth knocked from the skull of a god. Each word lands and burns a mark into the ground. One by one, they spell. Speech was a mistake. He stops inches from your face and opens his mouth wider. Wider. Until it splits the skin of his neck, his chest, and inside you see it. A book. Bound in lips. Its pages wet. Its text constantly rearranging. Your reflection stares up from one of those pages. And it speaks. You fed him, now you must scribe. The man phrase presses the book into your chest. And you collapse. But when you rise, you are holding something heavy. It is not the book. It is a stylus. carved from bone, still warm. Your hands begin to write, not willingly, but certainly. And as the tip touches the floor, a new glyph appears. It bleeds immediately. A heartbeat later, another mouth opens on the wall. Screaming. Then another. All of them yours. But each screaming something different. A regret. A laughter. A begging. Secrets. And as the chorus of your own voices wails, the chamber pulses and you realize you are not translating. You are creating. And each glyph births another mouth. Each word another scream. The God beneath the tomb is not ancient. He is growing. And you are his scribe. You try to stop writing. But the stylus, slick with marrow and memory, won't leave your hand. Your fingers no longer obey. They twitch and glide across the fleshy floor with a compulsive, inhuman rhythm. Each movement etches more glyphs into the parchment-like skin beneath you. And each glyph bleeds. Each drop feeds the whispering mouths that cover the walls. And the more you write, the louder they scream. Your name. Your sins. Your future. You drop the stylus. It clatters, but not like wood or metal, more like the click of a dislocated jaw snapping shut. Immediately, the room goes still. All mouths stop mid-scream. The silence is worse. Because now, the voices shift from walls to inside you. They nest in your skull, coil beneath your tongue. You can't scream, but you can hear them practicing your voice, testing syllables like knives. And then one of them whispers. Speak, and it begins again. A grotesque memory surges. The first time you said the tomb's name aloud, the way your lips buzzed, the air turned thick, your voice hummed from inside your stomach rather than your throat. You thought it was reverence or fear. Now you know it was a summoning. And when Professor Dartmoor, tongueless, eyeless, but still watching, spoke to you from within your mind, she was trying to warn you. The God you have stirred is no myth. It is language itself, weaponized. A parasite that thrives on utterance. Each word is a seed. Each sentence a spell. And with every phrase you utter, it grows stronger. You rise, stumble, force yourself to the edge of the chamber. You must leave, must escape. But there is no exit. Only more text. The hallway has rewritten itself, walls now lined with living paragraphs. Some whisper, some chant, one sobs. You cover your ears. But you still hear them. From the marrow outward. You run. Each footstep lands on a sentence written just for you. He still thinks there's a way out. He hasn't yet remembered what he did. The tongue he offered was his own, but from a past life. You fall hard, and your hand lands on another glyph. It pulses, and before you can recoil, it speaks through your skin. Oh, I hiss. A name. Not yours, but one you know. The childhood friend, long dead, a car crash you thought. Except now you remember, no, not a crash, you remember her choking, reaching toward you, grasping her throat, trying to scream. You never told anyone. Never even let yourself remember. Until now. Until the tomb showed you what really happened. You spoke a name you were never meant to know. And it took her. That's what the curse is. Not death. Not madness. But amplification. Whatever you say aloud, it takes root. It grows. It becomes real. And when the pharaohs warned of forbidden names, when priests cut tongues to seal demons, it wasn't just superstition. It was survival. Because the God beneath your feet is not worshipped. He is bound by silence. And you, fool that you are, have given him words again. You stagger to your feet and see something ahead. A door. Real, no, but more real than the rest. You lunge for it. Open it. A darkness. And inside, a library. But not of books. Of people. Rows of men and women bound in place, their mouths stretched open impossibly wide. Tongues scrawling endlessly across the air. Glyphs made of breath. Some have been here for centuries. Others, minutes. One locks eyes with you. It's your reflection. But not a mirror. A duplicate. Another you, still writing, mouth agape, eyes pleading. You scream. And your voice returns. Only for a moment. A single syllable escapes. No. And the room erupts. Every person in the library convulses. A great unified gasp. And the glyphs burst into flame. Not fire. A sound. A scream so loud it feels like dying. And in that instant, you see the truth. This tomb was never meant to contain a corpse. It was a linguistic engine. An ark. A burial ground for language, so dangerous it could infect reality. And you've cracked it open with your voice. Your scream was the key. The flames rise. The tongues burn. And the duplicate you begins to melt, glyphs pouring from its mouth like boiling ink. You turn. Run again. Back through the hallway of bleeding hieroglyphs. Back to the sand. You burst from the chamber. You fall on all fours. And weep. But no tears come. Only a single glyph forms on the ground beneath you. The one you spoke. No. And it begins to bleed. The sand shifts beneath you again, but this time you don't move. You lie there, chest heaving, throat raw despite your silence, breath soaked with the metallic taste of fear. You listen. And you realize the wind is speaking. Not in whispers now. Not in suggestion. But in chant. A low, rhythmic pulse of syllables circling through the dunes, like a chorus echoing from every grain. You raise your head slowly, heart hammering. Because the wind is chanting your name. Each gust forms the syllables of it, a fragment from the east, a pause from the west. Then, fully formed your name, carried on air that never should have known it. You scramble upright, but the wind is inside you now, curling through your sinuses, brushing the back of your throat, running cold fingers across the soft folds of your tongue. And then, it disagrees. Not in words, not quite, but in refusal. You try to think of home, to summon a memory strong enough to ground you, but the wind disagrees. You try to will your body to run, it disagrees. You close your eyes, pray to silence itself. The wind howls. You are no longer alone in your head. Because somewhere in that chant, hidden deep within the rhythm, is another voice. Older, a deeper, a patient. One that waits between the syllables of your thoughts. It does not rush. It remembers. And as the chant continues, you begin to hear other names. Names you've never spoken aloud. Names you shouldn't know. Yet each one awakens a feeling, an image. A pale face behind you in the museum's basement archive. A student who vanished after decoding a single line of the tomb's perimeter wall. A dig assistant who lost her tongue to a surgical accident on the flight home. The wind is summoning them. It's not in body, but in presence. The dunes ripple. Figures begin to form again, emerging not from beneath, but from the air. Dust becomes shape. Shape becomes posture. A posture becomes recognition. All of them. Faces you once saw, briefly, names you passed over in footnotes. They surround you, mouths open, tongues gone or flayed or stitched to their chests. Each one locked in silent scream. But you can hear it. Because now you understand their frequency. Their silence is not absence. It is compressed meaning. Each gap between wind-borne syllables is a sentence of agony, a phrase of eternal regret. You look down at the sand again and find your footprints gone, erased, replaced with symbols you never wrote. But you know what they mean. Return, record, reseal. You shake your head. No, it can't be undone. The seal is broken. But the wind chuckles now, a dry rasp across your shoulders. It disagrees. You stumble across the dunes. Everywhere you step, symbols rise in your wake. They hum, then fade, as though your body is now a stylus, carving meaning into the world simply by moving. This is how it spreads. Not through touch, not through sound, but through presence. You crest a ridge and freeze. In the basin below, a black obelisk. You've never seen it before. You've seen it 100 times in dreams. Rising from the sand like a shard of thought, driven into the skull of the earth. You move toward it without consent. And every step is a paragraph. Every breath a chapter. By the time you reach its base, your legs are numb, not with pain, but with purpose. You circle the obelisk. It is featureless. Until you touch it. Then it cracks. Just slightly. And from the fissure, a whisper. Your own voice again. I only twisted. Speaking a phrase you've never said. I bring the final tongue. You step back. Shake your head. No, you try to say, but your mouth won't move. Not this time. Because you didn't speak that phrase. Something through you did. And the obelisk accepts it. A slit forms. Not a door. A mouse. A vertical. A toothy. And smiling. From it, a rope slithers outward. No, not a rope. A braid. Of tongues. Wet, knotted, still pulsing. Each with a name seared into it. Yours is at the end. Still warm. Still tasting your fear. And the wind wraps around it, cradles it. Like an offering. You should run. But the moment you think that, the wind changes direction. And laughs. Because now it doesn't chant your name. It asks a question. A terrible, impossible question. Who do you give instead? And as the braid of tongues begins to retreat into the obelisk, you feel yourself stepping forward. You try to remember your name. It slips. Not forgotten, but digested. Chewed down by the wind, swallowed by the sand, and stored behind your eyes like something half-remembered from a past life. You are not nameless. You are post-named. And still, the braid of tongues retreats into the obelisk's vertical mouth, inch by pulsing inch, names twitching in their flesh script, each syllable fading as it disappears. You hesitate. Because if you let your own name vanish, what's left? But that question, like all questions here, already has a mouth. And from the edge of the obelisk, a crack splits open in the shape of a grin. A long, thin whisper emerges. It says, "He who has no name cannot be devoured." But it's a lie. Because the God who sleeps beneath this sand does not eat the living. He eats the spoken. He was once called Hekonesu in forbidden papyrus, the unvoiced sovereign, the God without tongue or lips. He did not command worship through speech. He required secrecy. And when humans dared name him, dared form the syllables of his presence, the names themselves festered. Not curses, not plagues, but living phonemes, parasitic language that nested in throats and grew hungry. Entire villages fell mute. Pyramids were built not to entomb bodies, but to suppress vibrations. And then, the priests took 99 names, 99 tongues, cut and buried with the sigils of anti-speech. Each tongue a lock, each silence a seal. But the final name, the 100th, was too unstable. It changed every time it was whispered. So they passed it on. Buried it in dreams, carried it in unborn children. And now, you are that carrier. The final tongue was never meant to be yours, but it was always going to be. You feel it now, waking behind your own teeth. Not a voice, a hunger. The wind chants still, but now in reverse, unmaking the words it just sang. The obelisk pulses. A handprint forms on its side. Yours. Already embedded. The stone recognizes you. Not as guest. As mouthpiece. You step forward. Not by choice. By gravity. Because now you realize. This isn't a monument. It's a tooth. One of many. A part of something buried so deep, it spans miles. The tomb is not a place. It's a skull. And this obelisk is a molar, blackened, waiting. You place your hand to the stone. It yields and splits open like gums. Inside, darkness writhing sentient, the scent of iron and ink. And then light, but not gentle. This is the light of forgotten alphabets, of sigils banned by pharaohs and erased by fire. They flicker across your eyes, etching meanings you don't want. You see him, not as a figure, as a pattern, the God who eats names, a God of unuttered things, of every word you almost said before someone died, of every confession you swallowed, every scream you never voiced. He feeds on that. He is made of that. He doesn't punish. He absorbs. And when you think his name, though you don't know how you know it, the air ruptures. Not from sound, from recognition. Ayatna sekmet. Your body convulses. Not from pain. From translation. Because now, your bones no longer carry marrow. They carry text. Each joint flexes in grammar. Your lungs fill not with breath, but phrases. You exhale, and somewhere, someone forgets their mother's name. The God shows you a future. A planet speaking its own end. Words layered so thick across the air that birds fall silent, radios scream, and even the ocean forgets how to wave. But he also shows you a choice. You can feed him. One name. One final name. Speak it. And he will reseal. For a while. And in that pause, you might live. Or stay silent. Let him devour speech forever. End the tyranny of sound. No more lies. And no more screams. No more names to carve onto gravestones. Only quiet. Only truth. You step back. Ashreik. But the God is inside now. Not possessing. Just reciting. The tenant in your jaw. And he asks you, in the vibration of your molars, what name do you give me? And behind you, the wind gathers again. Not chanting. Waiting. Holding its breath. And when you try to speak, you realize. You remember a name. Not yours. But one you buried. Long ago. In guilt. In silence. The one who took your place in a sacrifice you didn't stop. Their name. Now balanced on your tongue like an offering. And the God is listening. You try not to say the name. But it pulses there, just beneath your tongue, aching like a tooth you didn't know was cracked. The more you resist, The more it builds, pressing against your throat like an unvoiced scream. The God is still, not in silence, in expectation. He doesn't threaten. He invites. And in that quiet, you remember something you buried so deep it only returned in dreams. A mirror. Your mirror. One you shattered when you were 12. Not because of rage, because of fear. You looked into it too long, past your own reflection, into something behind it. A second face. Identical, but slower. Lagging behind your movements, then getting ahead. Smiling before you did. Mouthing words your lips hadn't formed. And when it finally blinked, and you didn't, you smashed the glass. That moment returns now, vivid, clear. And behind it, a name. The one you almost became. The one someone else took on your behalf. You step away from the obelisk. Not running. Withdrawing. And as your boots lift from the sand, you see something change. Your shadow shifting. It doesn't follow you anymore. It walks beside you. And when you stop, it doesn't. It continues forward. And then it turns. To face you. No longer a shape. A person. Your height. Your frame. But adjusted. Not aged. Enlived. This is the self who spoke the name. The one who accepted the burden. Who didn't pass it on. They raise their hand. And mirror your fear perfectly. Because they are you. Only more honest. More finished. And their eyes. They reflect light that isn't here. You take a step forward. So do they. But when you raise your hand, they don't. They stand still. And their mouth moves. You expect a mimic. Instead, you gave him my name. It isn't an accusation. It's a confirmation. The figure reaches into their chest. Not through claws. Through reflection. As if opening a frame. And from inside, they pull a mirror. Oval. Framed in obsidian. Covered in fine cracks. You look in. And what stares back is wrong. Not monstrous. Honest. It's your face. Exactly as it is now. But aged in ways you've never lived. The eyes too deep. Lips too thin. Teeth too many. You blink. And the mirror doesn't. It smiles. Then says, in a voice you haven't heard in days, "Say the name, or I will." You drop the mirror. But it doesn't fall. It floats. It waits. You turn away, but every direction now contains a mirror. Each one revealing a version of you. One screaming. One silent. One bleeding from the mouth. One laughing with a mouth full of tongues. The reflections don't match your movements anymore. They act independently. And they all mouth one word. That name. You try to plug your ears. Close your eyes. But mirrors don't need sight. They only need memory. You remember the museum's fragment, an ancient-looking glass said to belong to a priestess who spoke once and never again. She wasn't cursed. She was trapped inside a reflection. Because that's what the god devours best, not the spoken. The reflected. Names that echo in silence. Faces that remember too much. And you finally understand. Each mirror is a tongue. Each reflection a syllable. And now they all converge. A dome of mirrors forms around you. The sand gone. A obelisk gone. Only endless versions of yourself. A speaking. Whispering. Repeating that final name you refused to say. Until one finally does. And it isn't you. It's the version you could have been. It's the one that never ran. They mouth it clearly. And the mirrors all crack at once. A soundless shatter. The ground beneath you drops. You fall. Not through space. Through language. Down past verbs. Through nouns. Into phonemes and glottal stops and ancient clicks. Until you land. Hard. Unpolished stone. A new chamber. Empty. Except for one thing. A mirror. A full length. Clean. Unbroken. You rise. A step closer. And it reflects the god. Not you. His form is shifting. His face is all of yours. His mouth is yours. And it opens. And you hear the name. The one you never wanted to know. And then, you repeat it. Without meaning to. The mirror breathes in. And shatters. The shatter doesn't echo. It absorbs. 1,000 mirrored fragments explode inward, not outward, sucked back into a collapsing mouth, the final syllable of the name still quivering in the air like the ripple from a bell that should never have been rung. And you're still standing. Cut, unbroken, empty. Your ears ring. No, they hum. A frequency deeper than hearing, more primal than thought. You turn your head and the chamber blurs. The world folds in slow, deliberate syllables. Stone becomes scroll. Air becomes parchment. Even your body now feels paper thin. You've crossed some unmarked threshold. There's no tomb anymore. No desert. Only pages. Endless, breathing, weeping pages. You reach out, and the nearest sheet recoils. Not from fear. From recognition. It knows your name. Your true one. Not the one given at birth. Not the one you buried. The name you formed that night under the museum, when you stared too long at the glyph that bled. The one the wind whispered back. Each page whispers too. They're not blank, but their text constantly changes. You see names at first. Thousands. Some ancient. Some modern. Some not yet born. Then the names dissolve into images, mouths frozen in scream, then silence, then remorse. You lift one scroll. It vibrates in your hand. Written across its surface are the markings of a script not taught in any school, not spoken in any era. It is alive. Each character breathes. You squint at the first symbol, and your nose begins to bleed. Because to read this is to be read. The text is watching you back, and then it begins to speak. Your voice, your memories. Twisted. The scroll murmurs. You asked them to forget you. You shake your head. But it continues. You made them forget her name so you wouldn't carry the weight. That is the price. Your fingers tremble. You drop the scroll. It slithers back into the pile like a slug. Behind you, a figure stirs. You whirl. But nothing's there. Only more scrolls. And then one begins to rise. Not lifted. Birthed. It unfolds slowly, like a tongue uncoiling from a clenched jaw. And written across its full length. The mouths that remain. A catalog of those who tried to seal the god and failed. Each entry includes a name, a method of silence, and a note. You skim the list. Athememhotep, tongue removed, voice continued to echo in children's dreams. Galen Rowe, voluntarily mute for 32 years, spoke once in sleep, unleashed plague of vowels. Yelena Charcot imploded after writing her confession backward in blood. The final name is your own. But the method, it's blank. Waiting. The scroll doesn't ask. It expects. From the corner of your eye, something moves. A shadow. It's not cast by light. It is cast by a voice. A voice you haven't heard since childhood. A bedtime story that ended wrong. You follow it through the endless shelves. Every scroll you pass hums, slightly when you near. A rising chord. You reach the center of the archive. There, resting on a pedestal of teeth. Yes, teeth is a scroll darker than the rest. Not black. Not burnt. Just hollow. You reach for it. The air snaps. Your fingers pull back, not from heat, but from something colder. Acceptance. This scroll does not react. It waits. You pick it up. And as you do, you feel your tongue tense. It cramps. Hard. It then relaxes. The scroll knows. It doesn't open. It unfolds itself, like a lotus made of sighs. Inside, there is no language, only your reflection, your face on parchment. It moves. It looks at you. And then, for the first time since the tomb opened, you speak again. What do I have to give? Your voice cracks. The scroll answers. Everything you remember, everything you say, everything you might say. Your reflection nods and smiles. It's not unkind. Just final. And as the scroll crumbles in your hands, like ash blown backward, you realize you've signed. You didn't need ink. You were the ink. From now on, every word you utter, every breath that passes through your throat, every thought you dare to form, will be recorded by the papyrus of the forgotten mouths. You try to sleep, but you're not sure where your body ends anymore. The archive faded hours, days ago. You think you laid down, you think you closed your eyes. But even now, the world behind your lids is sharper than the one they left. You're in a room, familiar, but impossible. Because this place, this crypt, you've never seen with your waking eyes. And yet you know it. Its angles are buried deep in your childhood nightmares. The ceiling is a heavy dome of teeth. The walls are lined with mirrors that only reflect from the neck down. The floor is made of paper, thousands of sheets sewn together with veins. You are barefoot. Each step leaves behind a word. You try to stop walking. But that isn't your choice anymore. This crypt is shaped like your mind. It rearranges as you remember. You take one more step, and suddenly a door appears. You've seen it before. It's not in the real world, but in the dream you had the night your father died. The dream where someone knocked 3 times, and when you opened the door, your reflection wasn't on the other side. Your mouth was. Just the mouth, disembodied. Floating. Smiling. Sobbing. Waiting to be let back in. You reach for the handle and hear a whisper. Not behind the door. Behind your eyes. You never buried me. You just stopped speaking of me. You open the door. Inside, sand. Endless dunes beneath a starlit sky that doesn't blink. A single path winds forward, lined not with torches but tongues. They light themselves, softly glowing with every step you take. Each tongue speaks something forgotten. I was the word you didn't say when she begged you not to go. I was the breath caught in your throat when you watched him drown. I was the laughter you forced when you lied about feeling nothing. Each one remembers you better than you do. You want to scream. But even in this dream, this crypt, you're still bound. Your voice has a lock, and the key is buried under guilt you forgot how to name. You keep walking. The path leads downward now, sloping. You don't descend stairs. You sink. And the deeper you go, the more you feel your thoughts unravel. You can't remember what the sky looked like anymore. You can't recall the year, the names of those you loved. But you do remember words. Oh, yes. Words float like bubbles inside your chest. Words that no one should know. Ancient syllables shaped like blades. Meanings that predate sound. You realize this crypt isn't showing you memories. It's feeding on them. Every forgotten face is fuel. Every repressed moment, an offering. And as you walk deeper, the walls begin to whisper not to you, but as you. I never meant to speak it. I only wanted to see the tomb. I didn't know silence could be alive. You reach the heart of the crypt. A chamber. A small. Empty. Except for a bed. Your childhood bed. The one with the missing slat under the mattress. The one you used to hide things beneath. You kneel. Lift the mattress. And there it is. Wrapped in flannel. Damp from memory. The first tongue. The original seal. Still warm. Still yours. You touch it. And the world around you cracks. Mirrors split. Teeth above you grind. The paper floor curls upward, wrapping around your legs, your chest, your throat. You try to breathe. But the crypt breathes through you. A soft voice echoes now, not yours, not the gods. Something older. A child's voice. Yours, but smaller. You found me. And in your hand, a scroll. A blank. Waiting. You write. Not because you want to. Because the dream has teeth now. And if you don't fill the scroll, it will feed on everything else. Your fingers move. You write names. Memories. Regrets. Truths. Until the scroll is full. And then you see the final line forming on its own. Sleep is where he feeds best. You wake. Eyes open. Mouth dry. And there's sand in your throat. Real. Not imagined. The dream left evidence. And beside you, on the stone floor of your tentless nowhere, the scroll you wrote, still blank, until you touch it. Then, in slow crimson strokes, your dream begins to rewrite itself. And you understand. You are never alone when you sleep again. Because he has built a crypt inside you. You wake with no memory of lying down. The scroll still sits beside you, now sealed in a thin crust of resin-like saliva, dried not by air, but by intention. You reach for it. It hisses. You recoil. Not because of fear. Because the sound it makes is your own breath, reversed. You don't speak. You barely breathe. The air is thick with dust and waiting. You rise slow. Something is different. It's too quiet. Not empty quiet. Impact quiet. Like sound has no room to echo anymore. You turn. And realize the tomb has changed again. No longer scrolls. No longer mirrors. Now bodies. Hundreds. Standing upright, eyes sealed, lips sewn, wrapped not in linen but in a papery skin stretched so thin it shimmers. They're not ancient. No desiccation. No rot. Their skin is flushed. Their fingernails still shine. You step closer to one. And freeze. A silver chain hangs from his neck. At the end, an ID badge. The face matches. The name blurs. But you remember him. Andrew Cavett. Your grad school roommate. He vanished 4 years ago after that excavation in Luxor. You always thought it was suicide. The guilt clawed at your sleep. But here he is. Breathing. His chest rises slowly beneath the tight wrap. A single word is carved across his sternum. Spoke. You spin. Another body. Another word. Whispered. Another. Prayd. You begin to walk the hall of the preserved. Each one has a name you almost remember. Each face feels carved from guilt. And the words. They escalate. Translated. Taught. Published. Sang. Each a crime. Each punished by containment. And then, at the end of the corridor, you find the only open pod. Empty. Waiting. The plaque above it reads, recorded. A sound behind you. You turn. The pod has shifted. It now bears your face. Your features. But mummified. A mouth slightly open. A single scroll curled between the teeth like a tongue. You stagger back, and your foot hits something soft. You look down. It's a modern backpack, covered in dust. You unzip it with trembling fingers. Inside, a voice recorder. Red light blinking. Battery long dead. The file index shows a single entry. A sealing attempt 6. The timestamp. From 3 hours ago. You press play. It crackles. Then, your voice. Shaking. Breathless. As if this is recording, it means I made it inside. Or maybe he made it through me. Silence. Then. The tomb isn't a tomb. It's a message, a mouth, and we're all just consonants. You remember none of this. Then a sound, your own voice but deeper. Wrong. You whisper. He needs one more. And the recorder cuts out. You drop it. The bodies begin to tremble. Not wake. A shudder. As if their souls are remembering something their flesh cannot deny. From the darkness ahead, something moves. A shape. Wrapped in nothing. Naked. But skinless. A living outline. A muscle exposed. Each muscle fiber stitched with black threads, taut and humming. It walks without sound. And no feet. Just the suggestion of movement. And from its open chest cavity, tongues spill. Dozens. Each one still twitching. They slither back inside as it reaches you. You don't run. You don't pray. Because what's the point? You only ask, who are you? And without speaking, the answer wraps around your skull. I am the archivist of sound. He leans close. His breath is cool. He smells like dust on wet parchment. I carry the syllables unclaimed. I swallow the screams unfinished. I preserve those who spoke what should remain imagined. You close your eyes. He touches your throat. A single nail grazes your larynx. And inside your mind, you hear every word you've ever said. A backward. A then. You may leave, but not with a voice. You open your eyes. He is gone. But the corridor of preserved ones. Now, all of them are looking at you. Eyes open. Lips trembling against stitched skin. And you hear them. In your mind. In your bones. They don't beg. They warn. Seal it again or join us. One sound is all it takes. And behind you, the pod with your face. It's still empty. Still waiting. The pod with your face begins to hum. Not a vibration. A resonance. You feel it in your bones first, then your teeth, then finally in the hollow spaces behind your eyes. It's not a call. It's not even a threat. It's reminder. A lullaby sung in a language made of promises you never kept. You back away from it slowly, careful not to look at your mirrored expression too long, because the eyes in the mummified face are not yours. They blink. Once. And the hum deepens. You flee. Not because you think it will save you, but because moving feels less like dying than standing still. You pass the others in the corridor again. None move. And none speak. But they watch now. Eyes tracking you. Lips vibrating ever so slightly behind sealed stitches, as if trying to join the hum of your pod, to harmonize with your unfinished silence. You push into another passage. This one narrower. Carved not from stone, but from ink, thick and glistening on the walls like it was smeared with fingers dipped in fresh syllables. The air is sticky. It tugs at your lungs. You begin to see shapes within the ink. Letters. Phrases. Questions. If you remove every sound, what remains of you? If thought is wordless, who is listening? You reach a chamber. Circular. Simple. At the center, a desk. A single page. A stylus made of something pale, fibrous. You already know. It's a stretched vocal cord. Dried. Shaped. Sharpened. You approach. The page curls toward you like it's breathing shallowly. You do not want to touch it, but your hand moves. The moment your fingers brush the cord stylus, they twitch, and not just from your own nerves. Something inside your knuckles responds, and your hand begins to write. The words pour out. Not in English. Not in any language you know. But you understand them. Viscerally. You are not writing with intention. You are recording. Your own thoughts, no. Worse. You are recording the whispers of those who can no longer speak. The scribes of the hollow voice. They are here. Not seen, but felt. In the pressure behind your ears. The sensation of a second heartbeat in your neck. They dictate through you. And every sentence you finish, you forget. The price of transcription. One thought in, one memory out. You write for what feels like hours. And when you stop, you don't remember starting. But the page is filled. The ink, blood. Yours. You've been writing with a needle dipped in your own vocal cords. You look down. Your throat doesn't hurt. It's absent. You open your mouth. No sound. Not even a rasp. And yet they still speak through you. One word writes itself now, though your hand is still. A signature. Your name. And beneath it, silence is authorship. The chamber dims. You hear others now, writing in the shadows. Thousands. No walls. Just scribes. Each at a desk. Each forgotten. Each giving themselves to this record. You look left and see someone you know. Her face. You haven't thought of her in years. Your first mentor, the one who disappeared during that cave dive off Siwa Oasis, the one everyone said drowned. Her stylus moves steadily. Her eyes are gone. Not empty sockets, just missing, as if her body forgot they were ever needed. You step toward her. She stops. Her head turns slowly. And she speaks. Not aloud. Not even with sound. With the movement of her fingers across the page. Each stroke a syllable. Each curl a warning. Don't ask questions, don't remember, only write. You shudder. And then, in the dimness beyond her desk, others look up. Recognize you. And you see it. Every one of them has your handwriting. You wrote their words. You recorded their final screams, the last truths before their minds caved. You were always meant to join them. A conduit. A recorder. A scribe. The stylus pulses. Your fingers twitch again. But you drop it. Refuse. And the silence screams. Louder than sound. It hits your skull like static wrapped in grief. You fall. A bleed from your ears. And then the voice. From all around. And from within. Do you deny your roles? You can't answer. Not with words. Only a thought. One desperate truth. I just want to go back. The silence responds. Then take the page with you. The paper lifts. It folds. Slides into your hand. It clings to your palm. It's a part of you now. And when you open your mouth again, it speaks for you. You climb. A stone step slick with breath. The tunnels spiral upward now, not down, and yet each step feels heavier, as if you're not rising out of something but descending into yourself. The page clings to your palm, warm and pulsing like a second heart. You tried once to drop it, to tear it away. It wept. A slow, pitiful sound that didn't come from paper, but from you. Because it wasn't inked with blood. It was inked with memory. And memory, in this place, is the most sacred currency. The further you climb, the more familiar the walls become. Not ancient stone now, but plaster. Cracked wallpaper. A staircase with a missing step you once tripped on as a child. The air smells like your grandfather's cologne. You reach a landing. There's a door. Not carved or weathered. Painted blue. The kind your parents never locked, but always warned you not to open. You know what's behind it. You open it anyway. Inside, a room built from your thoughts. Not your memories. Those are fragile, suggestible things. This room is made of things you buried. It's a study, but not yours. You've never owned a globe. Never kept a flask of ink carved from beetle shell. And yet, your handwriting is everywhere. On scraps of paper nailed to the walls. Carved into the wood of the desk. Burned into the spine of the books on the shelf. You reach for one. The title shifts as you focus. All the lies you've made true by telling them. You flip through. The pages are filled with entries you don't remember writing. But every word feels familiar. Like reading someone else's diary, only to discover it's yours from another life. You turn to a page near the middle. One paragraph stands out, glowing faintly. The self is a room without walls, filled with echoes that never knew they were born. You close the book, and then you see it. The far wall, covered in carvings, and deep gouges, not words, letters, all yours, scratched in with something sharp, desperate. You approach. The letters form a sentence. One line etched over and over, deeper each time. I was here, I am here, I will be left here. Your hands begin to tremble. You step back. Trip on something. Look down. A hand jutting from the floor. Familiar. The fingers bruised, nails cracked. But unmistakably yours. You fall. Hit the floor hard. And the hand grabs your wrist. Not violently, but urgently. The floor cracks open. Not revealing soil. Not rock. A paper. You fall into it. Through it. Into yourself. You land on your knees in another chamber. Small. Womb-like. The walls are wet parchment, pulsing gently. Your name echoes here. Over and over. Spoken by hundreds of mouths. All yours. You look around and see them. Faces grown from the wall, mouths only, whispering constantly. Each one mouthing a different confession. I forged the artifact. I erased her name from the notes. I told the donors it was safe. I knew the tomb was waking. You scream. But the chamber screams back. Every voice amplifies your fear, folds it, reflects it. And then a new mouth opens. Center of the room. Massive. Circular. A mirror for the god's own maw. And from it, a tongue. Not writhing. Still. But made of words. You read it without trying. It's a story. Your story. Entitled at the base. An excavation of the self. Writ in a hand you wish you didn't recognize. It ends with one sentence. He remembered too late that the silence was meant to protect him from what he is. A light blooms from beneath the floor. You look down. Carved beneath your knees, barely visible through the soft layer of dust. To seal the tomb, become it. Your reflection appears in the tongue. And it smiles. A mouth closed. Eyes wide. Waiting. You understand now. The God isn't inside you. You were built around him. A vessel. Not chosen. Crafted. All your curiosity. All your questions. Every time you spoke the unspeakable. Each was a brick. And now, the final keystone is your realization. The last piece is consent. The mouths stop. All of them. The silence is instant. Final. But not empty. Waiting. You place your hand on the floor. It accepts. The tongue uncoils. It wraps your arm and writes your true name across your chest, burning it into skin. You exhale, and the page in your hand dissolves into breath. The chamber closes, not to trap you, to hold you in place. You don't scream. You can't. The scribes are done. The record is complete. You have excavated the only ruin that ever mattered, and buried yourself inside it. There is no time here. Only rhythm. A pulse. It beats slowly, then faster, then all at once, like thunder trapped in bone. You are not asleep, yet you are not awake. You are contained, folded into something older than death, softer than silence. The chamber breathes around you, and with every rise and fall of its walls, you feel the names inside you shift. Not yours. It's not anymore. The names of others. Hundreds. Thousands. Each pressed into your skin like tattooed fog, each syllable a bruise. But one name moves differently. Your name. Or rather, the one you lost. The hundreds. The tongue never spoken aloud. It's the one hidden not in burial, but in delay. You delayed it. Pushed it back. Let others suffer in your place. You see them now, etched into the walls of your memory like ash drawings. The assistant who went deaf after decoding the wrong stanza. The linguist who forgot her own language mid-sentence. The child who hummed a melody too close to the forbidden rhythm and was never found again. Each one an almost. Each one almost the hundredth. And now, the almost is over. You feel the tongue returning. Not yours, but the true one. The original syllable. The primal fragment of sound the God first fed on. It rises in your throat. It's not warm. Cold. Cold like obsidian pulled from the dark side of the moon. You gag. But it doesn't stop. The walls around you vibrate. Mouths reopen. They are not here to scream. They are here to sing. And what they sing is you. Or rather, the you that will remain after the sound completes. The tongue cracks your lips. It is not flesh. It is language incarnate. You look down and see it hanging from your mouth. A silver, a tapered, shaped like a dagger carved from an alphabet you never learned. It twitches once, and you hear the voice. You wore it too long. It's not the God. It's not you. It's the tongue itself. It's angry and tired. It wants home, and you are not home. You were a sheath, a carrier, a womb of sound. It begins to pull out of you, and in doing so, memories follow, pulled from your teeth, from your ribs, from the scar behind your ear. All the unspoken thoughts you locked in your silence tumble into the chamber. The tongue absorbs them. It grows longer. It begins to unfurl. It does not fall to the floor. It stands, a figure made entirely of unvoiced truth. And you see it now. The 100th tongue is not a piece. It is a being, a mouth given form. It looks at you, with eyes you once had, and says with your voice, I return now, and I am hungry. The ground splits, not cracks, opens, not rock, not sand, a throat. The tomb has waited for this, not for a victim, for a pronoun, for a tongue that could say, I and mean it. The tongue leaps, not into the earth, but through it, and you follow. You do not choose to. You were never the author, only the pen. You fall through layers of time. Pharaohs screaming. Priests cutting their mouths open with sharpened stones. Entire cities swallowing their own vowels. You pass through every silence ever enforced. Until you land. The black chamber. No shape. Only vibration. The God is here, but not in form. In echo. You feel him ripple around you, within you, waiting. You open your mouth, and the 100th tongue enters, not to settle, to complete, to speak the sentence carved into the birth of mankind. We listened too long. The words leave you, and with them, so do you. Your skin sheds. Your eyes dim. You become a name. Only a name. A seal. The last. The chamber quiets. You feel it across the tomb, the scrolls, the crypts, the mirrors, the tongues, all of them exhale at once. The final breath. Not death. Just done. You have returned the tongue. You have spoken the sentence. And now the silence holds. Not hollow. Full of the sound that won't come. You no longer stand in the tomb. You are the tomb. The shape of your body, your breath, your marrow, folded now into the bedrock of something ancient and language-bound. You do not see with eyes, nor think with thought. You perceive only vibration. The god has settled. Not in slumber. In satisfaction. The final tongue returned. The echo silenced. And you are the seal that binds it. You feel your bones harden into sigils. Your skin scribe itself into a skin scroll of warnings no one will ever read. You are unreadable, unrepeatable, but not gone. You begin to remember things in reverse, not as memories, as unhappenings. The first word you ever spoke. It unforms. A sob, not a syllable. The name of the first person you loved. Dissolves into feeling, then into warmth, then into absence. You do not forget. You are forgotten. Erased not by malice, but by necessity. Your function has consumed your form. You hear voices above you. Archaeologists. Future diggers. Their boots clink against your ribs. You feel the brushing of their fingers over your skull, carved now into the lid of a black stone box. One voice says, no inscriptions. Another, not even a cartouche. A third, softer, I feel like it's listening. And you are. Every word they speak etches across your dormant mind like a kiss from fire. Because even sealed, you record. You are a container for dangerous resonance. And in time, they will speak too much, read too much, and name too much. And then, you'll open again. Because the seal is never permanent, only patient. Until then, the air above grows still. The tomb is closed. The dig site covered. Your name is erased from the records. And somewhere, in the language between dreams and dusk, a whisper forms. A child hears it in their sleep. A single syllable. Your syllable. Their tongue curls around it like it knows the shape. They don't understand it, but they say it anyway. A door twitches in the dark, and your bones shiver. Waiting. So now you sit with that final image, stone pressed above, silence curling within, the space between language and self made flesh and function. The tomb is closed, yes, but the truth is that tombs are never truly about the dead. They are stories with locked endings, and locks can be picked or whispered open. You carry the chill of what you've heard tonight, a memory you can't quite explain. A breath caught on the edge of some ancient syllable that is quite your own. And every time you speak aloud from now on, maybe a part of you will wonder, who else is listening? Maybe you'll walk a little more softly through libraries. Speak a little more gently in museums. Or perhaps late one night, when your reflection lingers too long in a mirror, just a fraction too slow, you'll remember the tongue and how close it came to being yours forever. It's okay. The seal holds. For now. But remember, there is no such thing as eternal silence. Only very patient listeners. And in the long hush between this tale and your next breath, something still stirs beneath the sand, waiting to be named again. So sleep if you dare. But should you dream tonight and hear your name whispered by something without a mouth, do not answer, not even once.